Standing, imposing and majestic, and dominating the northern aspect of the world's seventh largest natural harbour, Kingston Harbour, is Jamaica's central bank, Bank of Jamaica. Officially established on October 1, 1960 under the Bank of Jamaica Act, the central bank became operational on the 1st of May 1961 and replaced the currency board mechanism which had been in existence since 1939. The bank's policies and operations are undergirded by its vision to be the world's leading central bank, committed to excellence, fostering public confidence, and contributing to the sustainable development of Jamaica. Jamaica was then on the cusp of political independence from Britain. One of the bona fide markers of an independent nation is the creation of structures to regulate and manage its financial affairs, hence the mandate for a central bank.
You know, for a small little country called Jamaica to have a Bank of Jamaica, a central bank that is 60 years old, we've done well.
At the time of establishment, the stated objectives were to issue and redeem notes and coins, to keep and administer the reserves of Jamaica, to influence the volume and conditions of supply of credit for production, trade and employment, to foster the development of money and capital markets in Jamaica, and to act as banker to the government. As part of its developmental role, Bank of Jamaica was instrumental in the establishment of the Jamaica Stock Exchange in 1968, the Students' Revolving Loan Scheme, now Students' Loan Bureau, in 1970, the Jamaica Export Credit Insurance Corporation, now Exim Bank, in 1971, and the Jamaica Institute of Bankers, now Jamaica Bankers Association, in 1977. 6 decades later, operating within a liberalized economic framework, Bank of Jamaica and its policies and operations have evolved and currently mirror modern, sophisticated global banking practices. Today, the overarching mandates of the bank are maintaining price and financial system stability, which are critical to attaining sustainable growth in the Jamaican economy. The ethos of its operations is also guided by its mission statement to formulate and implement monetary and regulatory policies to promote price and financial system stability by being a trusted organization with motivated and professional employees working for the benefit of the people of Jamaica. In its formative years, the structure of the BOJ was simple. Everything hinged on the work of 4 departments. The banking department, whose remit was banking and currency operations, the research department, which assessed the Jamaican economy in relation to global financial developments, the inspectors department, which executed regular audits of the bank's financial operations, and the secretaries department, which provided secretarial support for the board and other committees. Dulcie Cameron was among the first employees of Bank of Jamaica, securing the job as a secretary after responding to a newspaper advertisement. She served the bank for 37 years.
We had to climb up board steps and what have you. And there, we didn't stay very long because I started in April. And by May, we were down at the Public Buildings West King Street. That was our home. We, up the steps, we had 3 floors at that Public Building West.
Another person who started out as a secretary and gave decades of service to the bank is Dorothy Clark.
I went as the secretary to the general manager, who was a Britisher. And while they were here, there was need to establish a filing registry, a correspondence registry. And they invited or requested the Bank of England to send a retired person. Her name is Miss Nora Crown, and she came and set up the structure of how a registry ought to be run.
She says working with the central bank was seen as a high-status job and speaks with pride as she reflects on the early days.
Men were men of intellect and integrity, and zeal was evident in all that they had to do. Mr. Payton in particular, he said when he got to working with the bank, he said the bank was to be regarded as a cut above institution, meaning that it was a prestigious institution, and the standards that were going to be established should make it evident that that was what the bank was, the central bank, and at all times the bank was to be a capital B.
A reflection of how employees viewed the central bank, their place of employment. Another member of the BOJ team who gave many years of dedicated service was the late Desmond Tomlin.
That the central bank was supposed to be at the pinnacle of the banking system. So we should always regard ourselves as being a cut above the rest of the banking community.
I came here with my integrity, and I'm leaving with it.
BOJ pensioner, the late Joan Rose. One of the colorful characters in the annals of Bank of Jamaica was Alfred St. P. Grant, who joined in March 1961 and served for 37 years. He recalls that one of the first orders of business was training.
We went to the Linders Methodist Church Hall to a training school to teach us central banking operations. The training school was conducted by the then governor, the first governor, Stanley Walden Payton from the Bank of England.
Grant had the distinction of performing a major symbolic function at the ceremonial opening of the bank.
I had the good fortune for exchanging the first Bank of Jamaica note 0000001 for an old Queen Elizabeth pound note to the last colonial governor of Jamaica, Sir Kenneth Blackburn, in the opening ceremony by the teller's cage, because I was the first head teller in the Bank of Jamaica.
And what of the perception, role and status of women in the early days of Bank of Jamaica? Was this a reflection of the wider society? One of the earliest employees, Faith Horton, reflects on being in London for training when her mother died in Jamaica.
We decided I would not come home for my mother's funeral. We'd have a memorial service there. So that is what we did. So that put to bed the idea that we were emotional as women. That in itself opened the door for women after me, and I would say even women in the common service to be sent abroad for training.
Reflecting on the progress of women at Bank of Jamaica, long-serving employee Nicole O'Sullivan.
So we have a lot of heads of departments that are females. We have economists, senior economists that are females. So when I first came to the bank, there were a lot of men that were at the top. But now we women are on the rise, for sure.
The first woman to rise to the level of Senior Deputy Governor was Audrey Elaine Anderson, who served the bank for over 40 years. She joined the staff in 1970 in the Exchange Control Department and was eventually promoted to Senior Bank Examiner in the Bank Inspection Department, which she later headed as Director. Mrs. Anderson later became the first female Senior Director and the first female Deputy Governor of the bank. Today, with a staff complement of over 650, Bank of Jamaica has an elaborate and efficient structure, at the helm of which is the Board of Directors, chaired by the Governor. The structure is divided into 7 planks: Corporate Secretaries Division, Banking and Currency Operations and Financial Markets Infrastructure Divisions, Finance, Technology and Administration, Financial Institutions Supervisory Division, Research and Economic Programming Division and Financial Stability Department, Governor's Office, and Senior Deputy Governor's Office. Karen Chinqui Aiken, Deputy Governor for the Corporate Secretaries Division, is also the bank's General Counsel.
We have charge of the Board Management and Statutory Committee Secretariat as well as the Legal Department. for our corporate secretaries for the statutory committees, they not only provide traditional corporate secretarial services, but they also lend research and other support for the statutory committees. And as we know, those statutory committees include not only the recently formed Monetary Policy Committee and Financial Policy Committee, but also the other statutory committees that were there before. The Financial System Stability Committee, the Supervisory Committee, and the Financial Regulatory Committee.
The legal department handles the drafting of legislation, regulation and instruments, and prepares the bank for legal and court matters. Natalie Haynes, Deputy Governor, has responsibility for the Banking and Currency Operations and Financial Markets Infrastructure Division, BCO FMID.
The three areas of which I have responsibility basically ensure the existence of relevant and cutting-edge infrastructure for the payments and settlement systems, the efficient management and development of the financial markets, and the existence of appropriate legal and regulatory framework for the oversight and supervision of some entities in the financial market sector. We operate on the hallmark of stability, efficiency, and transparency.
The Banking and Currency Operations Division facilitates the payment and settlement of transactions in the domestic financial market and foreign currency obligations for BOJ and the Jamaican government. This division also ensures adequate supply of currency to satisfy public demand. The Market Operations and Analysis Department is charged with the implementation of monetary policy through the management of US and Jamaica dollar liquidity, as well as managing and budgeting the country's foreign exchange reserves to ensure the adequacy of foreign currency in our financial markets. The Financial Markets Infrastructure Division has oversight and regulation of the payment system and the licensing and monitoring of cambios and remittance companies. The BOJ takes pride in staying abreast of global trends, on the cutting edge of new technology, and this division was instrumental in the rollout of the Central Bank Digital Currency (CBDC) via the Jamaica Digital Exchange (JAMDEX). JAMDEX was officially introduced in June 2022. It provides consumers with an option to conduct transactions, including making and receiving payments and transfers at any time by way of a safe platform using any convenient device.
With CBDC, you have a list of all the persons. They have CBDC apps, accounts. Bam, you send it. Within seconds, they all have the money. And they can go to the corner shop and spend the money, because the storekeeper is also on CBDC. He shows them the phone. The two phones come together, almost like you're sending credit. Same way you send credit to somebody, you can transact between somebody on a corner shop or a supermarket and people like you and I.
George Roper is the Deputy Governor in charge of Finance, Technology and Administration.
My portfolio has 4 divisions reporting into me. Each of those divisions is headed by a subject matter expert in the relevant area. The 4 divisions are HR, Finance, Information Technology and Records Management, and Facilities Management and Protective Services.
The Financial Institutions Supervisory Division, FISD, has expanded oversight responsibilities for monitoring and regulating the banking and wider deposit-taking industry. This includes all commercial banks and all licensed financial institutions, including building societies, credit bureaus under the Credit Reporting Act, microcredit institutions under the Microcredit Act, and overseas credit unions. Dr. G.D. Lewis was appointed Deputy Governor in 2022. He chairs the National Anti-Money Laundering Committee, NAMLAC, and ensures the relevance and adequacy of the bank's legislative and regulatory framework. He has portfolio responsibility for the FISD.
The mandate of the Financial Institutions Supervisory Division is to implement an effective and robust supervisory and regulatory framework for all deposit-taking institutions and financial holding companies. We do that by ensuring that each licensee operates in a safe and prudent manner. And by so doing, we ensure that the public has confidence in all of these institutions and, most importantly, have confidence that their deposits will remain safe.
Lorraine Samuels is the Executive Manager, Payment System.
It has not become easier because there is more pressure on the country to adhere to the anti-money laundering, counter-financing of terrorism regulations. And so if from day to day you're hearing of different umbrella organizations, watchdog organizations that monitor how we operate. And the operations of these entities have implications for the country's standing in the global financial system.
Deputy Governor Robert Stennett heads the Research and Economic Programming Division, REPD, and the Financial Stability Department, FinStab.
There are two, I would say, complementary pathways to achieving financial system stability. The first is referred to as microprudential supervision, which focuses on identifying and addressing risks involved in the operations of individual financial firms. The second is referred to as macroprudential oversight, and this focuses on identifying and addressing risks that comes from the developments in the broader economy, whether these developments are domestically related or they come from outside of Jamaica.
The Research and Economic Programming Division, REPD, develops, operates and maintains an inflation forecasting and policy assessment system and a comprehensive data management structure to disseminate economic data. The REPD also conducts research on economic issues and contributes to the bank's communications effort on monetary policy.
Over the years, what has happened is that economic thinking has refined what the role of a central bank should be. And of recent vintage, I would say in the last 10 years, it's evolved that the central bank should really concentrate on managing inflation, price stability. And so when you look on the current Bank of Jamaica Act, it singles out price stability as the most important objective.
The Governor's Office comprises the Internal Audit Division, the Communications Department, and a unit of administrative and technical support staff for the Governor. Charged with improving the effectiveness of risk management, control and governance is the Internal Audit Division headed by Angela Foote. This is the bank's third line of defense, which ensures that its activities are executed in compliance with accepted risk management protocols. While the division falls as a unit under the Governor's Office, to maintain its independence from the bank's management, it reports functionally to the Audit and Risk Committee of the Board. The bank's Communications Department, which also has oversight responsibility for the bank's Money Museum and art collection, is committed to using the most effective tools to maintain the highest levels of communication with internal and external stakeholders and the general population. The department has won several international awards, including the Central Banking Communications Initiative Award in 2021 for its program Centrally Speaking.
Our very special guest today is Melanie Williams, National Financial Inclusion Coordinator from Bank of Jamaica.
BOJ also copped the award in 2019 for the reggae-based campaign featuring popular personalities and which focused on its inflation target.
Reggae music is the heartbeat of the country.
Low and stable inflation
is the heartbeat of the economy.
Dr. Wayne Robinson is the current Senior Deputy Governor of the bank. As well as having oversight of REPD, FinStab and BCO FMID, Dr. Robinson also has portfolio responsibility for the Corporate Risk Management Department, the Strategic Planning and Project Management Center, and the Financial Inclusion Secretariat.
Jamaica has made great strides in insulating our financial system. As regulators, Bank of Jamaica, in collaboration with partners and stakeholders, will therefore continue to effectively implement the relevant laws, and we will remain vigilant so as to protect and promote the integrity and stability of our financial system.
The Corporate Risk Management Department, CRMD, is empowered by the management of the board to carry out ongoing and independent assessments of the key risks inherent in the bank's operations. As the second line of defense, the CRMD provides technical support and guidance to the first line of defense, that is, business and functional units, while liaising with the third line of defense, that is, internal audit. This ecosystem creates and sustains an environment in which all key risks are continually identified, assessed, analyzed, monitored, controlled, and reported. This ensures adherence to industry standards and international best practice. CRMD is therefore a key enabler of the bank's efforts to meet its strategic objectives and mandate through the infusion of a risk-based approach in the decision-making routines and processes across the bank. With the goal of being the world's leading central bank, contributing to the development of Jamaica, the Strategic Management and Planning Team directs the process for effective strategy formulation and execution. Andrea Clark is the bank's Chief Strategy Officer.
Our main business objectives are to support the bank's strategic goals through delivery of strategic initiatives or projects, strengthen the bank's strategic management and organizational performance management systems, and of course increase staff engagement through strategy. The bank's strategic plan is dubbed Mission Excellence, Resilience and Innovation, and it is designed to propel us on our journey to be the world's leading central bank, as outlined in our vision statement.
One of the major thrusts of Bank of Jamaica has been in the area of financial literacy and financial inclusion. Data indicate that many Jamaicans sit on the outside of the active financial system, in other words, unbanked, and for many who do have bank accounts, they are underutilized or unutilized. As a result, they cannot be accounted for, but more importantly, they are unable to access financial instruments, products, and services. National Financial Inclusion Coordinator Melanie Williams outlines the strategy for increasing financial literacy.
Changing how we approach the whole message of who BOJ is, what we do as a regulator, and what our population needs to know when they're now going to interact with our regulated financial institutions. How do they protect themselves about financial products? They need to understand it. We need to speak in the language of the people. So that's why we're promoting financial education.
Okay.
The goal of the public education campaign in support of the financial inclusion strategy in 2017 was to get unbanked persons who fear and mistrust the system to become part of the system by opening accounts.
There are benefits to taking on difficult problems like how to move Jamaica from an environment that's not really financially inclusive to one, and where people aren't really necessarily mostly financially literate, to an environment where they are included and actively doing the things that they choose, but using the resources and the services from a financial sector.
Over the 6 decades, the bank has seen 11 governors. The first, Governor Stanley Payton, 1960 to 1964. Governor Richard T.P. Hall, 1964 to 1967. Governor G. Arthur Brown, 1967 to 1977. Governor Herbert Walker, 1977 to 1981. Acting as governor from November 1981 to December 1982, Dr. Owen Jefferson. Governor Horace Barber, 1983 to 1985. Governor Headley Brown, 1985 to 1989. Governor G. Arthur Brown, his second term, 1989 to 1992. Governor Roderick Rainford, 1992 to 1993. Governor Jacques Boussier, 1993 to 1996. Governor Derek Latibaudiere, 1996 to 2009. Governor Brian Winter, 2009 to 2019. The 11th governor of the bank, Richard Biles, who took office in 2019 after a distinguished 40-year private sector career in business and finance, underscores the importance of the central bank to Jamaica.
We all should be very proud of it as Jamaicans. And over the years it has changed and evolved and grown and become even more important to the economy.
Over the past 60 years, there have been many notable game changers that have impacted the strategic direction, management and oversight of the central bank. On April 16, 2020, with the passage of the Bank of Jamaica Amendment Act 2020, the central bank gained full autonomy and independence. The early architect of these amendments was former Governor Derek Latiboudiere, whose vision for a more modernized bank included a break with the tradition of reporting to the Minister of Finance. Under this new regime, the newly independent BOJ reports directly to Parliament. The bank now has two new statutory committees: a Monetary Policy Committee charged with achieving and maintaining price stability, and a Financial Regulatory Committee established to facilitate information sharing, coordination and cooperation among regulatory authorities. One of the provisions of the new legislation is the staggering of board appointments, where a single vacancy on the board will become available every 2 years. This will ensure that policies, programs, operations and activities of the bank are not disrupted by a mass revamping of the board triggered by a change in political administration. The amended act also prohibits the government from borrowing from the bank except in extenuating circumstances such as a declared national emergency. The current 14-story Bank of Jamaica building is a well-appointed, sophisticated architectural masterpiece. Designed by Herbert Bradford of Rutkowski Bradford and Partners, the building was constructed between 1970 and 1975 and was officially opened in March 1976. The structure is a study in architectural efficiency. To minimize the impact of earth movements based on its proximity to the shoreline, the building was designed to withstand earth movements and the effects of the elements and has weathered its fair share of natural disasters, coming out essentially unscathed. Banking officer Mark Hitchner, who has spent over 3 decades at the central bank, has vivid recollections of the 1993 earthquake and how it impacted the building.
And the shaking started, and as I looked through the window, we normally would see the various buildings around, and as I looked, I saw the Bank of Nova Scotia, which is across the road, and then I didn't see the Bank of Nova Scotia, and then I saw the Bank of Nova Scotia, and people started shouting, "Get under the desks," and everybody started running, filing cabinets started falling. It was an experience.
As with all other aspects of the bank, improvements have been made to the structure of the building to preserve its architectural integrity. All the external glass of the building is shatterproof and bulletproof and made to withstand extreme hurricane force winds. Some of these modifications were made after a stray bullet shattered the glass on the front of the building and entered the foyer, and also in response to the shattering of windows on the southern aspect facing the Kingston Harbour during the passage of a major hurricane. Today, the Bank of Jamaica building stands as one of the most impressive, structurally sound and architecturally statuesque buildings on Jamaica's southeastern shoreline, externally and internally distinguished. The bank is a benchmark of an aesthetically pleasing work environment, one of the lasting legacies of former Governor Latiboudiere, who believed in creating and maintaining an environment which is welcoming to staff and customers. Gracing the front of the building is the iconic sculpture of Noel Newton Neversole, Jamaica's Minister of Finance from 1955 to 1959. Though he died before Bank of Jamaica was established, he is credited with the thought leadership, vision and drive which led to its creation, and is heralded as the father of the central bank. Eminent Jamaican artist and sculptress Kay Sullivan was commissioned by the bank to execute the Neversole statue. Of course, a work of that magnitude is no easy feat, and there was no shortage of challenges.
First thing now that I had to do was to build this steel framework that corresponds to the bone structure of the person. So we had to measure and cut the steel and weld it up together, and then after that now you put on a backing, you have to flesh it out with mesh, and then after that now you put on the plaster of Paris. So they built a big structure around it, and I would have to go up and down this structure carrying big drums of, well, not drums, pails of plaster of Paris to put on the statue, and then when it dried now sand it down and try and get a likeness in the plaster of Paris. The statue is actually 14 foot high, which is probably nearly twice the height of a normal room. And it's not just the height, you know, it has to be the width, the corresponding width as well, that has to be increased. Put on the plaster of Paris, and then to get the shape, you have to sand it down with a rasp of some kind, you know, and then add to it and sand it down, add to it and sand it down till you get what you want. And when it was finished, they cut it into pieces and cast it in the aluminum, and then they had to weld it back together again. I'm very proud that it's here, and I'm very proud that I was given the commission. I'm very glad that I was given the commission, because it's an honor to do something like this.
Neversoul's portrait also appeared on the Jamaica $20 note, which was in circulation from 1976 to 2000. In addition to being a work of art, the internal walls of the Bank of Jamaica building function as a platform for the classy display of some of the most outstanding pieces of art and some of the best collections by a selection of Jamaican artists. This was the brainchild of former Governor G. Arthur Brown. Though the artists whose works are displayed are not all Jamaican, all works were produced while they were living and working in Jamaica.
Without the visionary leadership of G. Arthur Brown, who was in fact the first Jamaican governor of the central bank, we would not have an art collection. His vision was to have the walls, the offices, the open areas of the new wonderful building here on Nethersoul Place adorned with pieces of Jamaican art. The first acquisitions reflected the expertise and enthusiasm of the art committee headed by Barry Watson. We actually were able to acquire 77 pieces in just 3 months. And the piece behind me, Saturday Morning by Melville Ettrick, is one of the murals. For several years, Bank of Jamaica would do a calendar, and we featured our art collection on our calendar, and you know, that was very, very popular with members of the public. I think we even won some calendar competitions because of our art.
One of the highlights of any visit to the Bank of Jamaica is a tour of the Money Museum, a repository of information and artifacts which trace the general history and usage of currency through the ages and the manufacture of coins and notes. Originally opened in 1985, it was renovated and reopened in 2000. Ancient and modern currency are on display, from glass beads and shells traded by Jamaica's earliest inhabitants, the Tainos, to Spanish gold pieces, to coins and notes, from pounds, shillings and pence, to dollars and cents, to check leaves, to cards, to digital currency. The information and exhibits are curated and laid out in an attractive, easy-to-digest format with ultraviolet lights enhancing the display. The Money Museum is a favorite among visitors to Jamaica and a calendar event for many Jamaican schools, primary, secondary and tertiary. Visitors have the option of browsing on their own or benefiting from a guided tour of the museum.
I have been very pleasantly surprised by the quality of the persons that I find here and the depth of knowledge that they have and their commitment to the Bank of Jamaica.
The engine of the BOJ machinery is comprised of the people, the managers and staff of the various divisions who work tirelessly, individually and collectively, to ensure that the central bank remains adherent to its mandate and serves the needs of Jamaica and Jamaicans. BOJ invests heavily in training, capacity building and professional development to ensure that staff is current, savvy and equipped to carry out the business of the bank. In partnership with local, regional and global training partners, the Learning and Development Department, often referred to as the Training Institute, designs and executes customized programs for staff at every level. HR professional Lorraine Mattis joined the bank fresh out of high school in 1979 and has witnessed many positive changes in the bank's operations.
When I came, BOJ had the note examination where most persons started. It's called like the breeding ground for young persons. So you go there and you stay at least 6 months and then you are assigned to other areas. And I was assigned to Jamaica, to the research, to REPD, Research and Economic Program Division initially. I stayed there for a short time and then I was transferred to Jamaica Export Credit Insurance Corporation, which is now the National Export-Import Bank of Jamaica.
In 1990, she was seconded to the Exim Bank, after which she returned and joined the Human Resources Department, where she has contributed to its growth and development. With over 40 years of BOJ service under her belt, she has no regrets.
And it's something I'm really very proud of. I would not give it up for anything because I think BOJ is somewhere, it's a very stable environment and it's somewhere that you can, opportunities are endless and it's just for you to apply yourself.
The bank is also committed to ensuring that the staff maintains a healthy work-life balance and promotes physical activity through its state-of-the-art gym, various sporting activities, and the participation of the BOJ teams in competitive sports. The building also boasts well-appointed dining facilities and rejuvenation spaces for the staff in support of a culture of health and wellness. Philip Hyman has worked at Bank of Jamaica for almost 40 years, serving in various capacities including currency porter, forklift operator and driver. He sees part of his unofficial role as making staff feel comfortable, diffusing tension and generally contributing to a warm and positive atmosphere in the workplace.
I worked in the porter section. Those days it was porter section and they deploy us over the bank, right? So currency was a part of my thing. I was in library, I was in banking, I was in exchange control, student loan. You name the department and I was a part of it.
Philip Hyman has worked with 7 governors and has seen many changes. His favorite part of coming to work each day?
To meet the people, to be with the people. I get to love the people so much that when time comes for work, I'm here early and we have this friendship and leave late in the evening. So my favorite part is not about the salary. The salary is not, it's good, but it could be better. But the camaraderie among the virgin is far more important to me.
The BOJ is constantly evolving, being responsive to its environment and in the process improving its systems and operations. Some of the changes were part of the pivoting in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, while others have been part of the perennial upgrade and evolution.
I never thought that we would have had staff members on laptops logging into the bank's computer systems to complete tasks that once we thought would have only been done on location. And the pandemic has brought out that good side of things, I think. So although we have the pandemic written off as a scourge of mankind right now, it has brought about some good changes, I think, in the organization.
Though he is not an employee of the bank, Kenroy Higgins, known to everyone as Boona, is a well-known and well-loved fixture. He has been washing cars in the BOJ parking lot for over 5 decades and takes great pride in his job. Staffers look forward to seeing him each day, describing him as hardworking, honest, and jovial.
1970, when they are changing over the pound, shillings and pence. 1970. And I'm there with them and things so till 1975 now. When I sell the Sky Juice during those time, 1975 now, things like that mash up now. We decide for what to took a car and thing. So I started to wash car now and thing and charge $2 for wash a car. In time the $10 is a whole heap of money for us at that time. You understand?
His search for greener pastures led him to the US, but that was short-lived, and he has been back at the Bank of Jamaica doing what he loves best, washing cars. Bank of Jamaica has remained steadfast in its role as a good corporate citizen, spending millions of dollars and investing time and other resources to ensure that deserving Jamaican individuals and organizations get the support they need to maximize their potential. In 1994, in honor of the first local governor of the central bank, the G. Arthur Brown Memorial Scholarship for Jamaican students pursuing a master's in economics at the University of the West Indies was inaugurated. The first set of awardees included Dr. Brian Langren, who worked at the bank for over 15 years, Claney Latty, over 20 years, and Courtney Allen, who is still employed to the bank after 26 years. The bank also established the Colin Bullock Scholarship in commemoration of the former Senior Deputy Governor for students pursuing a Doctor of Philosophy in Economics at the University of the West Indies. The inaugural awardee was Chanel Guscott in 2020. Another popular calendar item is the series of seminars in economics. Conducted by BOJ economists, the week-long event is free of charge to sixth form students and their teachers and fulfills the mandate of helping to demystify aspects of their economics syllabus relating to the role and functions of a central bank. Over the years, teachers and students have expressed that the seminars have proven beneficial to those writing major exams in the subject. In the early 80s, the bank adopted the St. Michael's Primary School on Tower Street in Kingston in what is regarded as a depressed community and has been a consistent and supportive partner, facilitating growth and development in many areas.
Bank of Jamaica has been really extremely supportive in our effort to rebrand the school. They are referred to, as the teacher will say, as our earthly godparents or angels here on earth. So imagine for the 4 or 5 weeks in summer, Bank of Jamaica ensure that all teachers are paid. They provide lunch for all students. Supplies are provided as well, right? At the end of the summer school, the children are taken on a tour to the bank, or they are taken somewhere for some treat, some unusual places where the children have never been, and they experience so much because of this effort that Bank of Jamaica put in.
With the move to virtual classes as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the bank continued to support the school by providing mobile data to students to ensure that their learning was not disrupted. BOJ's support has not only impacted the students of the school, but has positively affected the wider community. In the past, families would have opted to send their children to schools outside of the community, schools with a better reputation for academic performance and discipline. But now,
every good deed is not left unnoticed. I would just like to say big up the Bank of Jamaica for all your sponsorship.
We could not have asked for more. It's a blessing, Bank of Jamaica, for your support both financially, morally.
In addition to managing the country's inflation rate and working towards guaranteeing financial stability, Bank of Jamaica has a track record of commitment to the preservation and promotion of Jamaican culture. In the early 1990s, the bank initiated a series of monthly lunch hour concerts, an opportunity at no cost for audiences from all socio-economic backgrounds to be entertained by top-tier performers, including internationally acclaimed groups and artists. The Lunch Hour concert has been a calendar event for hundreds of Jamaicans, including pensioners and students, who have enjoyed entertainment which they would, in most cases, not have been able to afford. Patrons have enjoyed the concerts immensely, and in addition to the high entertainment value of the concert series, it has also helped to prove that the possibility exists for classy, fulfilling and wholesome activity downtown. Bank of Jamaica has a passion for its pensioners, those who helped to build the institution and those who are part of its legacy. There is high anticipation among pensioners for the annual Pensioners Luncheon, where they are feted and entertained and reminded of their importance to the bank. Another much anticipated event on the BOJ's cultural calendar is the annual concert An Evening with the University Singers, held in December at the University Chapel on the Mona campus at the start of the Christmas season. Since its inception in 1997, the BOJ-sponsored concert has continued to spread cheer among concert-goers who delight in the musical mastery of the group. The bank stands as a bastion of good governance, constantly evolving to ensure that it responds to global and local economic trends and shifts while staying true to its mandate. The establishment of the appropriate regulatory framework and mechanisms has helped to mitigate the effects of major economic shifts, providing a rudder and weights and balances to steady Jamaica's economic ship. What the future holds, no one knows. But as the institution continues to serve the interests of the Jamaican people, it will always be guided by planning, vision, and hope.
I want to see us be exponential. I want to see us really transform this society. There are countries in this world that have done it. They're not very dissimilar to Jamaica. We just have to find what is that solution for ourselves. If I could see even the beginning of that happening for this country, I'd be a happy man.